Hacking, the unauthorized access to data, is so common these days. It was actually news this week when there was a report of dip in Chinese hacking incidents. Much of the evolving cyber wars exist in critical areas of high finance, military, and intelligence circles. But there is a potential critical concern. Most life-saving hospital equipment contains almost no cybersecurity. Not only can it be hacked, it's easier to break into than your smartphone or Nintendo, and the results can be lethal. Full Measure correspondent Lisa Fletcher has more.
When you're sick or injured, you depend on life-saving medical equipment. MRIs, CT scans, and drug infusion pumps that deliver everything from pain medicine to chemotherapy are all designed to save you. But the way that equipment is built could put you in more danger than you ever imagined.
The cybersecurity on my smartphone versus the cybersecurity built into these medical devices. Yeah. Which has more security?
Your smartphone, definitely. Light years ahead.
Billy Rios is a cybersecurity expert who's identified serious threats for the Department of Defense, Google, Microsoft, and others. In their spare time and with their own money, he and his business partner, Jonathan Butts, buy and deconstruct vital hospital equipment to find access points hackers can exploit.
Yeah.
And they report their findings to the Department of Homeland Security.
How bad is it?
It's really bad. I don't think I've ever walked away from a medical device that didn't have some pretty serious issues. There's a medical device that we looked at. It literally had over 4,000 vulnerabilities in one device.
One device?
One device.
Here's the deal. There are no federal requirements for cybersecurity standards on hospital equipment, which means once these machines are on a hospital's network, and there are thousands in every hospital, Rios says most are easily hacked, and settings and critical information can be changed. And he's documented it for the DHS and the FDA.
We demonstrated that someone could take over an infusion pump and essentially change the dosage of medicine that's being served to somebody, make them overdose on a medicine essentially. And there's no chance for the doctor or the patient to intervene. We've shown that we could crash the patient monitor or modify the data from a patient monitor so the data that's going to the physician isn't the right data. We've showed that for devices like supply cabinets where drugs and medicines are being served from, we showed that we could take those over. We could open up all the drawers or lock all the drawers. This is powering on.
And his latest undertaking? This X-ray machine.
C's and BMPs.
It took Rios and Butts less than 24 hours to hack it and reconfigure the system. Because they're good guys, they installed a video game.
This is a system that controls actual radiation that goes to some patient. It's got Donkey Kong on it.
If they were bad guys, Donkey Kong would be malware that could do everything from incapacitate the machine to deliver lethal doses of radiation without anyone being the wiser.
This would go into the IV bag.
And for much of the equipment they've researched, like commonly used drug infusion pumps, the hacker can be on the other side of the world.
It doesn't have to be near it, doesn't have to be close to it, 1,000 miles away. They can run some software and basically take over your device.
This is a frightening example of what Rios handed to Homeland Security. With just a few keystrokes, he remotely enters a generic passcode, unlocks a drug infusion pump, and pushes the entire vial of medicine into a would-be patient at once. The FDA reacted in May of 2015 by issuing the first ever cybersecurity advisory.
They actually recommended that hospitals stop using a particular infusion pump.
But to this day, Rios says the problems have not been fixed. Likewise for other vulnerabilities they've discovered, like hundreds of unsecured device passwords that allow access to everything from anesthesia machines to ventilators.
The manufacturers are the only people that can change the software on the devices.
And that, Rios says, is the fix. But remember, there are no requirements for them to do so.
Hospitals are in a really bad situation, but they have devices that they know are not secure, and they're essentially trying to put Band-Aids, on these issues. Now, we're talking about, tens of millions of dollars the healthcare industry as a whole is spending on something that can be patched by the manufacturer for less than $5,000.
The FDA declined our request for an interview, but did provide a written response to some questions, stating the FDA plays an important role in assuring safety of medical devices, and our regulatory abilities allow for us to take appropriate actions to protect public health.
Both Rios and Butts told me the FDA is not doing enough to protect the public and that there's no reason the agency shouldn't be evaluating this equipment for cybersecurity concerns when they certify it for public use.
So do we know, has this ever happened? Has someone hacked into equipment? Has there been a problem?
This is the thing, we don't know because there's no cybersecurity on the equipment, so there's no way to track whether or not it's been hacked. And when I asked Billy Rios about it, he said even if a forensic specialist got a hold of it, it would be a nightmare to try to figure out. What we do know is that the government's known about this for a long time. Vice President Dick Cheney had a pacemaker implanted in 2007. Shortly after, the government disabled the Wi-Fi accessibility to that pacemaker because they knew it was a terrorist threat, could have been hacked, and Vice President Cheney could have been killed.
So interesting. Lisa Fletcher, thanks so much. Still to come on Full Measure, we take a trip out to one of the few places where there's no digital noise, not even a cell phone signal. It's all because one oversized object requires complete electronic silence.